Hey, hello again. We are in a brand new airplane, as you can see. We're in a 757. And I know what you're thinking. We are not in that 757. We are in a good old American Airlines 757. And this is the FlightFactor 757 version 2.0. Just about everything on this plane has been redone from 1.0, which in my own opinion kind of sucked. I never really cottoned to it. It was cheesy. It seemed like it was incomplete. It was buggy. This one seems a hell of a lot better, and it's been getting very good reviews, so I thought I'd give it a try. FlightFactor has always made good FMCs. This one does not seem to be an exception. And the flying I've done of it, the airplane has a bunch of little touches to it that are interesting. The other thing is that I just want you to be aware of the fact that I am not an expert in the 757, which was one of the all-time great aircraft of my childhood. I will say that. It came into widespread use along with the 767 and along with the 737-300 about the time I went away to college, and I first saw an Eastern Airlines 737 climbing out of Washington National Airport in early September of 1982, and it just shocked me from listening to DC-9s and 727s and 707s just how unbelievably quiet it was. And it was really amazing in that respect. Okay, sets V2, automatically sets V2 here. It really is the direct ancestor of the 777, that and the 76. It's a real tweener plane. It's got more sophisticated auto flight controls and somewhat more sophisticated glass cockpit controls than the 737-300. I will say I do not yet know how to cross-fill these FMCs, but they seem to have done it automatically. At least I hope that's the case. In any case, we've got flaps 5. You'll notice that this aircraft is a clever mix of very, very nice textures. Look at how sharp, for instance, the paint and so forth is here. You can see how nice that is, and you can see how crappy this is. You can see how nice this is right here, right down to the repair and the blistering and the bubbling right there, and the fingernail marks and the sweat and grease stains here, which is great, and the shitty details on the screws, which is terrible. You can see the really, really nice attention to detail here and here and here and here, and then you can see the crappy attention to detail here and here. Here's another little bit. There are typos on these things here. Anti-collision with one L and two S's instead of the other way around. So it really is a mixed bag of stuff. Apparently this is developed by mostly Russian developers, so I mean if they're misspelling some stuff, well, that's okay. And then there's gimmicky shit like this. You know, you can set everything from here. I guess it's okay. And there's the world's smallest coffee cup by the looks of it. Yes, that's a strangely out of scale coffee cup. And there's some other stuff that's interesting. Maybe you think it's cheesy, maybe you think it's not. If you put on your oxygen mask here, you'll notice you now have a mask and you can breathe like that, and I suppose that's good. On the other hand, the hose just sort of cuts off in midair, so that's bad. So again, it's a whole mix of good, bad, and ugly. And I'm still getting a feel for the airplane too. So anyway, we're going to do a quick flight to Kennedy here just to shake things out and just to see how it plays out. So as you can see from the windsock, we've got a hell of a lot of wind, so we're going to taxi out to runway 22 right. And it's a rather nice looking plane when it comes to reflections and things like that. It's beautifully modeled in that respect. But, you know, there's a whole lot of dumb shit in it, it seems, for simmers. And some of the stuff doesn't work well. Like, for instance, when a nav aid is not tuned in, this should go off horizontally. So I'm going to flip this to the ADF, and there is no ADF tuned up, and that should move both of those things over, but it doesn't. So that's too bad. Let's see if we can find our taxiway here. The airplane seems to roll nicely. It seems to fly reasonably nicely. It's no IXEG, I'll say that much. It's got fancy reflections here and reflections of the throttle quadrant here, and I wish they would have spent less time in that and more time on this. On the other hand, it seems like the VNAV works better than the IXEG, so, you know, it pays your money, it makes your choices, I guess. Or as my grandma used to say, it's 6 of one half, a dozen of another. Actually, she never said that, but my friend Alan's grandmother said that. And another nice touch is here, the rudder pedals don't move on the ground, but as you can see, the tiller does. So there's some nice things too. I guess, I suppose, I don't know. As we cross 15 right, you know, like everything else, it's a compromise. Unlike in the 737-300, the flight director is alive on the ground, and we do have V-speeds here. You know, it is almost halfway between the 737-300 and the 777 in terms of automation and conveniences. That's the Tobin Bridge there. Now, I don't know if this is realistic. We're at flight, we're at idle right now, and yet we're taxiing at 18 knots. I don't know if that's right. Doesn't seem right. It would seem to me that at idle it would move to some extent, but maybe not to that extent. The other thing is it doesn't have the IXEG's ghost throttle feature, which is wonderful, wherein you can get a visual representation of where the auto throttle is and then match your physical levers to it. Matter of fact, when I try to match my physical levers to where the auto throttle is, I produce disaster. And we don't want to do that. So, on the other hand, the brakes seem to be very nice and balanced. So, you know, again, it's more or less a matter of tastes to some extent. We'll turn those lights on. Have to get used to the fact that the cockpit is very far ahead of the nose wheel on this airplane. Alright. we've been told to line up and wait, so we're going to wait 1 second. And I'm going to turn our transponder to TARA. The map displays are here instead of here. The ILS, you tune in here. You can automatically or manually tune in nav aids here. We're going to have it tune them in automatically. Set both to auto there. Don't know if you can. Anyway, flight director on. Auto throttle armed. Going to set runway heading here. It's got awful scroll wheel stuff. Well, it's not awful, but scroll wheel, to my mind, should be done just like in the Saab. So you should have the option for when you use scroll wheel to disable X-plane's zooming scroll wheel. Alright, so that is set. I'll put this on heading select. There you go, heading select. Very nice. Alright, and let's see how this sucker flies. Okay. We're in a toga-ish mode. Airspeed's alive. It's very squirrely and sensitive to rudder position here. We've passed 80. Okay. V1 and rotate. Alright, she comes unstuck smoothly. That's good. Seems to trim out nicely. Gear up. I'm just going to pitch for speed. Engage LNAV here. And we're on the SOX 4 departure, by the way. And there's our turn. The flight director is a little squirrely. I'm going to engage VNAV as well. Nose down, there's our thrust reduction. And I'm going to start to clean up. Now I'm going to fly the flight suggester here. Fighting it a little bit here. Hard to find a good trim position. Yeah, it's a little bit awkward here. Now, I don't know whether that's a simism, a real airplaneism, or what ism, but just clean ourselves up and head towards Plymouth. Yeah, I'm making too many pitch changes here, or too many pitch input changes, I guess you'd say. This is not as much fun to hand fly as the IXEG, which is almost too easy. It really is. Alright, so there we go. We're now heading east. I'm just going to hand fly this for a little while longer, get a feel for it. Automatically drops that. And it looks like it automatically turns the auto brakes off. I don't know whether that is real life or that's in the sim. And again, we're just heading around here on our departure. Pitch up a little bit here. And again, it really, I'm producing a lot of pitch changes here. It also feels like as slippery as the 7.5 is reputed to be, it seems like the flight model is a little too slippery. Get those lights off. We'll check and see how well. Now I'm hands off now. I'm just seeing how well we're pressurizing. Alright, and I'm going to spin our altitude up now. Come on. Back into VNAV. Wandered a little off course. There. There we go. Climbing a little faster than I should, but that's alright. We're going to be flying at 200 today, and I hate that right there. There we go. Alright. Right, of course. That's okay too. Let's come on in like that. Okay, we're above 10,000, so it's pitching us for higher speed, as it should. Hop on the autopilot here. See how it flies. Now, I believe I've got a bad course up here somehow. Bad entry. So what I'm going to do is go to legs, and we'll go direct to Providence. So let's see. Let's see how it handles it. Oh, I see how it does it. There should be a magenta line, but there is not. And you'll see the magenta line is actually off to one side right here. Alright, there we go. Matter of fact, let's see how it handles it if we go direct to Parch. You ready? We're not really that far away. Let's just go straight to Parch. Boom, boom, boom. We're still going to go over Providence, but shave a little bit of time off. Unless we're not going to bend past Trait. Alright. So we're close to our top of climb. We're also close to our top of descent. Which will, let's see, does it display here? I guess it doesn't. Let's get our heading bug squared up. Check our pressurization. Alright, our cabin altitude is fine. We're not dead yet. Gonna let our people, you see, haven't even told them to sit down. Okay, well, let's tell them to sit down. And now let's tell them to get the hell up. There you go. Alright, good. Done. And there is Boston slipping away into the distance. And here we are. Hey, see what I mean? Look at the texturing, how good that is, and now look at how crappy that is. Or how really good that is. Look at the tape under the paint there bubbling up. On the other hand, look at how indifferent that is. So, alright, we are at cruising altitude. And it seems to be anticipatory enough to slow us down in enough time to keep us from overspeeding. So that's good. Turn this to ADF. You see, when you turn this to ADF, this one to ADF, it doesn't go away. So, alright. So you notice it automatically tunes in the relevant VORs here, which is pretty cool. And our TOD is very, very soon. I think it'll display it as soon as we get up on our magenta line. Look at that. There's our top of climb, and there's our top of descent. Nice little short flight. And what we really should have done is this, which is set standard altimeter at 18. Please. There we go. Let's see if it brings us down a little bit. Not. So there's our top of climb. We'll be arriving on the Parch 1 arrival. The Deer Park transition. Some of the overhead panels familiar if you fly the 737, other stuff isn't. For instance, you can set a landing altitude, but not a cruise altitude. A lot of these things now have lighted guides and flow diagrams on them, as you can see right here. A lot of them are in similar locations, like the yaw damper, for obvious reasons. Some things have been simplified, others have been replaced by push buttons for the lights, like these. Anti-ice is split up, it looks like. And I do not think you have to put these on continuous anymore because it now has an auto position. And there are a lot of things that have auto positions now. So that's probably in the name of safety and simplification. Looks like our cabin temps are fine. Our packs are on. The leads are on. Alright, so we're coming up on our top of climb. And let's see if it gives us a top of descent. I'll bet you it won't until we hit our top of climb. So this is going to be our arrival. We're going to fly from Deer Park to Roslyn, hook a left, and head on down. So Deer Park's 117.7. And it's got Providence tuned in right there. And I think 117.2. Oh, pardon me. I think that's Calverton. Let's see, Sandy Point 117.8, Deer Park 117. Yeah, Calverton is 117.2. That's right there. Okay, so we're coming up on our top climb. We are making good time. We are about 45 miles till TOD. Let's see. It'll be on our progress page. Okay, 1 mile till top of climb, and then TOD is coming up. It's got a more robust display, cross-track error, winds aloft, fuel used. Alright, so now to top of descent, 35 miles. Okay. Platform altitude is 3,000 feet, so we'll set it now. There we go. If you don't, it will put up a warning. It'll say, warning, reset MCP altitude, which is this. MCP is mode control panel. So, not only is this not you-know-who's airplane, but I'm not in a very happy mood about you-know-who. Not just, or not necessarily because of some electoral outcome, but because he won. There is now, and there probably now will be forever after, a TFR around Trump Tower, which encompasses the New York visual corridor, I believe, which means no more scenic tours up the Hudson, because all of a sudden Trump Tower is hallowed ground. I happen to think that any president deserves protection. I don't think anybody deserves special TFRs around the entire island of Manhattan when you consider how many important people live here or have lived here. It seems like they all live here and they all do fine without having to restrict pleasurable private pilots piloting up the Hudson River. I've flown one of those flights as a passenger, and I really was hoping to fly it as well as a budding pilot, but it looks like, I'm not crying, I'm yawning, it looks like that is not going to happen. So that's a little bit annoying. The other annoying thing is scenery and weather loading here. Thank you, SkyMax. And we are about to hit our TOD. Look at that. Let me see if it shows up at the legs page as well. I don't think it does. No, it does not. It shows up on the descent page, oddly enough. I'm not going to try the descend now, but I think it works. Okay, see there's PVD tuned in on DME right, DME left is 117.2. And TOD now 16 nautical miles. Very nice. And as you'll see, the VNAV on this airplane works pretty darn well. It even works pretty damn well. I'd venture a guess it works pretty frickin' well, too. The plane gives you a choice of 2 FMCs. This one is the more modern one, and then an original one. There's also in the manual a Pegasus one, but that one doesn't appear to be modeled. And there are a few things in here, as you can see, that are not yet implemented. And you can tell they're going to be implemented because, for instance, here, avionics here, ADF pointer, it says not in current version. ILS deviation warning, not in current version. Rising runway, not in current version. Tire pressure, not in current version. So these things are probably going to be in a new version. Advanced RA alerts. Should have a pilot awareness monitor right now. So apparently they are going to be putting in a bunch of stuff. We'll see how they do it. See if it's any damn good. I will say already that this plane is not as pleasant to hand fly as either the Saab or the 737. I don't know whether that's because the people who are building it are not 757 pilots, or whether it's just an inherently different plane to fly. I have no way of knowing. I do know that the IXEG and the Saab people built their planes with extensive input from people who actually fly the things. So, and they made the choice of limiting some of the bells and whistles to make airplanes that fly better, which is great. These guys seem to have put more bells and whistles in, but stinted a little bit maybe on the flying character. Not sure, but my spidey sense tells me that it's just not, the flight model is just not as good. Systems modeling is very good. The visual modeling is, yeah, I'd give it a solid B. And the FMC modeling supposedly is top-notch. I have not yet found anything funky with it, but I haven't tried to do anything funky with it. And also, I don't know it well enough to be a good critic of it. I just don't know enough about it. As we come up over Peconic Bay on lovely Long Island. And the weather is loading again. Look at that. Isn't that special? Wow, that sucks. Pathetic. By the way, I'm running the Pratt & Whitney engines. It gives you a choice, even though I don't know if Americans use the Pratts or whether they use the Rolls-Royces. Most purchasers of the 7.5s bought them with the Rolls Royces. However, there is a bug in these Rolls Royces in that the landing N1 speeds are abnormally high, so they need to fix that. And until then, I'm gonna run the Pratts on everything. The Pratts seem realistic in speed, so take that as you will. Now we're supposed to be descending here, and we are a little bit above path, and that's probably because of our altimeter, and when we switch back to a more local altimeter, that is going to change back. So let's see, I guess it's about 29, let's see, 2963, 65, 67, so local altimeter here. Done. You see the typography is lousy when you zoom in. As we head out over the Hamptons, that is the mighty Long Island Expressway. That airport, I do not know. KFDK, don't know what that one is, but Peconic is right there, and then Islip is right behind there. Let's find out what airport that is. Okay, that's Calverton. We're going to go right over the top. That's the old Grumman Peconic River Plant. And that is West Hampton Beach. KFOK. Wow, with a 9,000-foot runway for all those Gulf Streams and other business jets. People who cannot bear to take the Hampton Jitney. Okay, so there is, it's now called Calverton Executive, but it used to be the Grumman Peconic plant, and that is where they used to make F-14s. Okay, and that looks like say Lufker and Spadaro. Tiny little strip is right around, yeah, right around there. Maybe it's here. That's right there. Yep, that's it right there. How do you like that? Look at that. Tiny, tiny, tiny little strip. All right. And again, they used to make them there, and at Grumman's Bethpage plant, which is a little further down the road, they made the lunar module for the Apollo program. In case you were wondering, so far we're following the profile very nicely. that, I believe, is Brookhaven National Laboratory. And that is an accelerator, a particle accelerator right there, that ring. Let's just see. Let's find out. I know this is, we should be paying attention. There we go. Brookhaven National Laboratory. That should, because there's Grumman Boulevard, so there's the airport. And yeah, look, see? The relativistic heavy ion collider. Look at that. And there is Calverton Executive Air Park. There we go. And that is Islip down there as we make our way. No, I'm sorry, that's Brookhaven Airport. Islip is coming up right there. All right, now we're getting somewhere, and we really are getting somewhere. So Islip is, there's Islip. Okay, there we go. Now I know where we are. World's least convenient airport, unless you happen to live in Islip. No, I take that back. I was going to say Washington Dulles is the world's. I'll tell people to sit the hell down. Bim bam boom. Check our ILS frequency, localizer frequency. 110.9 should be. 110.9.225. Okay, there's Robertson. Drag required. Wow. Let's give it some drag. Sporty. Alright, so speed at Robertson should be 240. Yes, it wants to slow us below 250. There we go. Just quickly let's see what it's complaining about. It doesn't seem to be complaining too much. You know what it's complaining about? What it's complaining about is somehow or other I nudged the flaps. I dropped a notch of flaps and it complained, obviously, as it should. By the way, I just want to thank everybody. I'm coming right up on 1,300 subscribers. So anybody who tuned in recently, you know who you are, and thank you. I'll try to live it down, or live up to it, or do something. Now that looks weird, so we're going to go direct to Deer Park here. That looks very weird. That looks better. Now let's see how it thinks on its feet. Now we're we're above path. I'm going to give it a little bit of drag. Let it get back on. There we go. That should help. And very quickly, while we're at it, there we go. That's done. You know, there's no way to... we're loading scenery again. Thank you. Actually, we're loading weather. Thank you, Real Weather Connector. Big fuck you to you, too. It's very hard to fly the airplane when it's doing that. Okay, speed brakes are armed. Check our altitudes. 3,000. Okay. I don't think we can engage. No, we can't engage second, third channels yet. Let's see how it does it automatically. So our next speed restriction will be at 210 at Deer Park. Not sure why this is in parens. Is that because it's a transition or because it should be getting vectors there? Pardon me. It says we are on profile. I don't know if we are. Let's see. We've got 17 miles to go. And we've got 3,500 to drop, so yeah, we're fine. We could come down 5,100 feet if we needed to. That works. Scale ourselves down a little bit so we can see what we're doing. Alright, looks good. That's Fire Island out there. Great South Bay over here. Let's just get our landing speeds here. Okay, we'll use flaps 25. Done. And done. 110.9, 225. 110.9, 225. That should do it. It took me a while to figure out that that's how you set a localizer. Now I've got some of my detail settings turned down because we're coming in and I'm using Drzewiecki's Manhattan, New York City, and it is a pig. This is Republic Airport, KFRG. A great place to go if you've hit birds or lost an engine or two. It's also a place where a lot of student pilots fly, so it's a little bit... You have to be on your toes when you fly around here because there's so many people who are almost as stupid as you are in airplanes, or at least almost as stupid as I am in airplanes. So Zalpo is generally where approach hands tells people to call into the tower. We'll generally clear you for the approach right about where we are right now, and the approach, by the way, is for runway 22 left. So at Deer Park we should slow to what, 200? Let's find out. And it automatically sets our V-speeds here, as you can see. 134, so it's about 139. V-app. We're just chugging on in on profile. Let's get our final altimeter here. Kennedy altimeter is 2967. Hey, there's our localizer. Unfortunately, just screwed up our altimeter. There we go. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is arm our localizer. And it is armed. Well, can't do that yet. See if I can do that at all. Probably when I'm in approach mode. Okay, as soon as we cross Deer Park, we're going to start to slow drastically, as you can see. And as soon as I possibly can, I'm going to start getting some flaps in, because we're going to have to slow very suddenly. So there's flaps 1. And 210 at Deer Park, 200 Roslyn, 150 at Salpo. So I'm actually gonna get my gear down at Roslyn. As you can see, there is our localizer. And we are looking good today, Taco. Alright. As we chug in towards Roslyn here. We are below the glide slope, so theoretically I could mash my approach button here. I want to get established on my localizer first, though. And we're probably flying this approach too fast. But hey, what is life without adventure, right? I can't tell if the speed brakes are armed either, because there isn't a nice light like in the 737. Is it armed? Yes, it was armed. There, now it's armed. Alright. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Let's get established on L localizer. Okay, gear is going to come down right now. There's our localizer. Bing. Nicely established. Okay. Let's see how it does it automagically. I'm going to intervene in the speed right now. Come all the way back to our approach speed. And there we come. And go to flaps 25, and that should do it. Now let's see if it arms, land 3, and all the rest of it. There's our... I hope our frame rates don't blow up. I want to be able to fly this landing nicely. Alright, now somehow it is giving us an unbelievably huge crosswind here. It is not supposed to be that way. But let's see how it flies it. Look at that. Wow. No, it's supposed to be wind at 250. So the wind should be right coming from there, not, well, 262 at 29. That's pretty hefty. That's very hefty. All right, well. There's our missed approach altitude. Alright, do you want to fly the plane? Well, let's just see. It's arm the flare, arm the rollout, land 3. Look at that. Yeah, screw that. Let's fly the plane. Is dying down a little bit here. That's about 63% N1. Yeah, unfortunately the auto throttle doesn't kill that caution. Okay, we're about a dot high. That's easy enough to fix. A little bit fast. Ah, it's got a roll coupling up the ass. Oh, that's too bad. That makes it hard to fly a crosswind arrival. It's weather vaning a lot. I'm actually applying opposite rudder to the wind direction.
500.
So it's pointing right into the wind no matter what you do. That's not especially stable. Wow, this is not a pleasure to fly.
Minimums. $100. 50. 40.
Oh, it's got huge amounts of roll coupling.
30. 20. 10.
No, that's not right. Now it's weather vaning like crazy. Fighting this the whole way. Yeah, that just didn't feel quite right. Got a good landing out of it, or a decent landing out of it, but that was wrong. Very wrong. That's a great big meh. Getting frame rate problems too. Come on. All right. Alright, well, I think we know the answer. The answer is this is not as good a pilot's plane as... Look at this. You know what that is? That's that right there. Here, let me show you. Watch this. Look. Go into rendering options here. Look at this. Settings, rendering options. It's using 7.8 1.862 gigabytes of VRAM. So that's basically all the VRAM I've got is being used for that, which is why it's slowing down to a crawl. So I think we can safely say that is hosed. And I think we can also safely say look at this pathetic slideshow. We can also safely say that next time I see you, I will see you in the IXEG 737, because this sucks. Anyway, looks like they've got some work to do. And looks like I probably need to get a Titan X if I want to be able to fly in Manhattan. In any case, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And thanks for enjoying the roll coupling with me. Heavens to Murgatroyd. I'll see you next time. We'll try and do better. Bye-bye.